know what she said, she might just change your life.
So let's talk about some specifics then.
Okay.
Specifics in the
Yes.
South Pacific. What should people in their 20s, 40s, and 60s say no before they enter into a common law relationship? What's the difference when it comes to age?
Well, first, the difference is, regardless of age, married people, thank you, married people have prescribed rules for what happens to property when they support, what happens to value when they split up, or when one dies. If you're unmarried, you have to rely on old basic principles. So the person who owns something keeps it. It's his or hers. The person who wants to get money out of a relationship has to pursue the owner for the money. It's very difficult. It's time-consuming. You have to remember factually what went on in the relationship. You have to establish why you're entitled to the money. You have to hire a lawyer. If the other person says, the one who owns the property, blow it out your ear, then you need to sue. So there's a whole complexity to it that's not related to marriage, if you're married. And with respect to the age groups, if you're in your 20s, it's very hard to crystal ball what's going to happen. If you're in your 60s and you've had multiple relationships or children from prior relationships, that becomes problematic too, because if there's any money or value around, the kids, who may be adult children, have their hands in the pockets of their parents because they want the money and the property. So what's happened, and what we see now, given the aging population, because even I'm nearly 58, I may live until I'm 80, who knows, the older people are losing their capacity to think. They're losing their mental capacity, but remaining alive for 5 or 10 years, living in homes. So the question becomes, if you're married or living with someone who may be your second or third spouse, married or not, who then makes decisions for you when you lose capacity? So to use the demented or Alzheimer's scenario, there are a lot of people who live for a long, long time who have no capacity. Somebody needs to sign for them with respect to their health care and their property, and then who does that? Is it spouse number 3 who may be 50 when the other one is 80? The kids are 50. They're fighting about the money. If spouse number 3 wants the 80-year-old to die so he or she can have the money to live, then the young spouse may want to preserve the money, have bad care for the older person. The kids may say, no, I love my parent, have great care. So the whole thing becomes really, what I would say, confuzzled. That's confusing and puzzling at the same time, and it becomes very difficult to talk about because it's an ugly topic. If you have people sitting around in their 60s or 70s and you say, okay, well, forget about separation and death. What if you become demented? Who's going to make your decisions? Who's going to run the money, and what's that going to look like? Who pulls the plug if there's a no resuscitation order? So we actually have those discussions doing these contracts for mature people, and it's difficult.
Click the channel subscribe button for full-length interviews and more from What She Said here on YouTube.